Math Corner. I'm Miss Morris. Today we're going to do some CXC May 2024 past paper 2 questions. Let's get started. Okay, so let's pull up our first question. Calculate the value of the square root of 7.1 squared plus 2.9 squared, given your answer correct to A, 2 significant figures, B, 2 decimal places. Okay, so we have a lot going on here. So what we're going to do for now is we're going to ignore the square root. Okay, so we're just going to save it for last and work out what we have here, what's under. Okay, and that is 7.1 squared plus 2.9 squared. So let's pull up our calculator. 7.1 square, that's a square sign, is equal to 50.41. So let's write that down. Equal. So 7.1 squared, that's 50.41 plus. Let's now find out what 2.9 squared is. Okay, so we can go ahead and add. We're going to add 50.41 plus 8.41. So now there's no need to ignore the square root sign. We can go ahead and find what the square root of 58.82 is. Okay, so that's our square root sign. And let's find the square root of 58.82. And there it is. 7.6694. So that's what we're going to take from it. So it's long, but we can work with this. Okay? Now, let's go back to the questions, okay? We need our answer to be 2, so for part A, to 2 significant figures. Now, what are significant figures? So just like a significant other, significant figures are numbers that are relevant, right? Now, all non-zero numbers, or all numbers that are greater than 0, are significant figures, right? So everything that you're seeing on the board right now, this will answer, all the digits are significant figures. However, we only need 2. So 7 would be our first significant figure. 6 would be our second significant figure. However, because the number that's close to my second significant figure is greater than 5, it means that I need to add 1 to my second significant figure due to the principles of rounding off, right? So my answer will be 7.72, 2 significant figure, which I'm going to write as SF, right? Significant figure. All right. Now, the second question wants us to have our question at 2 decimal places, right? So with decimal places, we're only interested in what comes after the decimal point, right? So all the digits after the decimal point. Now, we only need 2, okay? So this 6 here is our first decimal place. This is our second. However, because the number that's close to my second decimal place is greater than 5, it means that I'll have to increase this by 1, right? So my answer will be 7.672 right? Short for decimal place. And that's it. Okay, now let's move on to our second question. Write the following quantities in ascending order. So we're to arrange the above numbers in ascending order. Ascending means from smallest to largest, right? So ascending means increasing. So from small to large. right? So when you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know that the number is, you're going up, it's increasing. So you start from small to large. So it's the same thing we're going to do here. However, you notice we have a lot to work with. We have a fraction, a decimal, a percentage, right? So we could have seen things more clearly if we were just working with decimals or percentage, right? With fraction, it's not so easy to tell unless, they share the same denominator. Okay? So to do such a question, it is much easier to work with decimals, right? So we're going to convert the fraction and the percentage into decimals. So since this is already a decimal, we don't need to do anything, right? So let's go. So let's pull up our calculator and work out 12 over 25. 0.48 or 0.48, right? And we're going to keep this. So this is 0.46. Notice 0.48 is obviously larger than 0.46. Now, let's find out what 47% is as a decimal. Now, to do so, always remember that a percentage is out of 100. Okay, so this 47% is 47% out of 100. So it's 47 over 100. 0.47. Okay, so the smallest decimal is 0.46. The largest is 0.48. So obviously this 0.47 will fall in the middle. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and arrange them. However, remember, we're only using this as a guide. They gave us the above, not decimals. We're only using decimals as a guide. So we need to arrange the above in ascending order. Okay, so already we've established that the middle number is the smallest. So in ascending order, it's going to be 0.46, right? Or 47% falls in the middle. And our largest is 12 over 25. And that is our answer. Now let's move on to the next question. All right, so we have two people, Mahendra and Jaya, right? So since we're talking of the two, right, and you notice that Mahendra comes before Jaya, then we could write the 7 goes to Mahendra and the 5 goes to Jaya, right? In that order. So if Jaya had come before Mahendra, then it would be the other way around. So Jaya would receive 7 and Mahendra 5, okay? So because we're comparing, right? So this is called ratios, right? We're comparing things, okay? So we're comparing the amount of money they got, right? So obviously, from you look at this, you can tell that Mahendra would have gotten more money than Jaya, okay? Jaya. So if we look at this in total, we could say that 7 plus 5 is 12. So we could write what Mahendra got as a fraction, and also what Jaya received also as a fraction. Okay, so we just added that 7 plus 5 is 12. So as a fraction, Mahendra would have gotten 7 out of 12. And Jaya would have gotten 5 out of 12, right? And we can go ahead and find out how much exactly, what's the exact amount, right? So in dollars, how much did they get? Well, the total amount is $7,224, right? So just by multiplying by $7,224, that can tell me how much Mahendra got, and the same thing, doing the same thing here, can tell us what? Jacob. So let's punch that into the calculator. That's $4,214. Now let's work out what Jacob. 3,010, right? And we knew this. We knew that it would end up something like this. We knew that Mahendra would have gotten more. But how much exactly? How much exactly? How much more did she get? So for us to tell how much more money Mahendra got over Jaya, then we need to subtract how much Jaya got from how much Maya got. So let's go ahead and find out how much more money Mahendra got than Jaya. So let's go. So we're gonna say 4,214 minus 3,010, and that is equal to 1,204. By 550,000 in standard form. Now, always remember this. All whole numbers, they have an invisible point at the end. So whenever we're talking about standard form or scientific notation, this point, it comes in handy because that's the point that we're going to move to another location, right? So at the end of the day, when we're finished writing it in standard form, it's going to look something like this, okay? So this point, we're going to move it as close as possible to the first two or the first whole number. So let's go. Let's move the point. So we're going to move it. And there we go. So we move it. So it's now between 5 and 5, right? So it's going to be 5.5. Now, how many times did we move the point? 1, 2. So, sorry, we move the point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So the number of times we move the point, that's going to be at the top. Okay, so it's going to be 5.5 times 10 to the power of 5. We have 550,000 people living in Portmouth, right? So the current population in Portsmouth is 550,000 people. And they're saying that by 2030, this number will increase by 42%. Okay, so my upward arrow means increase. Okay, so it will increase by 42% by 2030. Okay, so what we can do is we can find out now what that 42% is. Okay, so we're going to find out how much people does that 42% account for, right? So it's going to be 42 over 100 times 550,000. 231,000. Okay? So this means that 231,000 more people will be living in Portsmouth by 2030. The question wants us to determine how much people in total, so how many people will be living in Portsmouth by 2030. So this will account for the current population and how much is expected to be there, right? So if we add both, that's going to tell us how many people will be living in Portsmouth in 2030. So let's write, it's going to be 550,000 plus 231,000, and that is equal to 781,000. That's all we have for you today. Well, join us next time as we continue going through these questions.